instances of paranormal phenomena have been reported in this desolate place. Events that may reflect the area's tragic past.
Coming through.
What's going on, guys? Welcome back to Other Dangerous Podcast, where we talk all things paranormal. I'm Ken James, and this is Jason McKittrick.
Hey, folks.
And if it can haunt, howl, or dwell in the dark, we want to talk about it. So tonight we are doing our first outdoor episode, and in spirit of our tonight's topic, which is Bigfoot, Episode 2, the Patterson Gimlin film.
Yes, sir.
And for those who are the uninitiated, this is the creme de la creme, the original, widely debated, widely panned by a lot of.
Well, I would say it's one of those issues or incidences or pieces of evidence that's widely divisive, because you have people in one camp that are like, oh, this is absolute proof, and you have other people who watch are like, dude, that's a guy in a suit.
Well, the funny thing is, recently I've been watching a show. And there was a guy that goes on tour, I forget his name, where he goes around trying to debunk the Bigfoot footage.
Yeah.
And in reality, what he's just trying to do is get his own name out there as much as he can. So he gets Distortion Unlimited, the famous costume and animatronics company, to make him a new Bigfoot costume. Because at the end, he wants them to come out and be like, this is what they did. It's like, bro, we're years from that. We're years beyond that. And the story you're telling is that guy that came out of nowhere that was like, I was Bigfoot, I was him.
Yeah.
So he brings him out, and it's like, all right, dude, we get it. You can walk like the Bigfoot guy.
Yeah.
You lived in the same neighborhood. Were you friends with these guys? We don't know. Yep. And that's almost the long and short of the entire thing, because all the study that's been done on this film, they've done some ridiculous analysis of this film. You have you can go on YouTube now, and you can look at a completely corrected version where there's no movement and it's solid and you see it. And that's when you get to that point, when they're doing that and you see those ones, it's like, I don't know. Yeah. You start to see the I almost see the zipper. So before we do that, do you have a little back history on this? Do you have a little?
Yeah. The Patterson Gimlin Film, also known as the PGF in the Bigfoot community. Whoop! Little Wikipedia nod here is an American short motion picture of an unidentified subject, which the filmmakers have said was a Bigfoot. The footage was shot in 1967 in Northern California and has since been subjected to many attempts to authenticate or debunk. The footage itself was filmed alongside Bluff Creek, which is a tributary of the Klamath River. And this is about 25 logging road miles northwest of Orleans, California. And this is in Del Norte County on the Six Rivers National Forest. This place is enormous, where this is at. And so enormous and so overgrown that the film site, where it's 38 miles south of Oregon and 18 miles east of the Pacific Ocean. So it's it's pretty embedded there, and this is all wilderness. And for decades, the exact location of the site was lost, primarily because of regrowth of the foliage in the stream bed, and there was another flood or whatever. But it was actually recently just rediscovered, I guess recently, not really, 10 years ago, in 2011. Because that's how wild it is out there. People don't really go through there that often. So
the stump has since moved. That big stump is a landmark.
Well, it's crazy too, because in the film, from what I understand, what we see is there was a flood right before that. So what was created there? You see a lot of downed trees and stuff. Mm-hmm. That was a newer area, I guess you could say.
Okay.
The landscape had somewhat changed a bit because there's this flood. So what you're seeing there would have changed again really, soon, because had a lot of new growth that would have come, afterwards. So the filmmakers were Roger Patterson, which is the main guy, and Robert Bob Gimlin. Patterson died of cancer in 1972 and maintained right to the end that the creature on the film was real. And then Patterson's friend Gimlin has always denied being involved in any part of a hoax with Patterson. Gimlin mostly avoided publicity discussing the subject from at least as early as the 1970s until about 2005, when he began giving interviews and appearing at Bigfoot conferences. So, yeah, I'm not going to go into the technical specs because who cares? So there is a little bit of a controversy on when the film was shot, because the date given was a certain date in 1967, but there's a reason to believe that it was actually shot later than he stated.
Okay.
I don't know why that matters, but any kind of fuckery that has been, brought to light on this, they like to bring up. Now, there's a lot that can be said about this film because so many people have conjectured and so many people have been involved, and there's also people who said that they were, involved in the hoaxing of it.
Right.
But, before we go any further, I mean, you should, I assume you know what we're talking about here with this. This is the classic, that shaky cam footage of Bigfoot in the forest where, as it looks, like the arms swing back, one arm swings back, one forward, and then the head looks to the right.
Yeah, and anyone who ever wanted to try to hoax one later has learned this walk. Yes. I used to do it in the back of the warehouse at the Guitar Center I used to work to try to make people laugh, and I got damn good at it.
Are you part Sasquatch?
It's been said.
Okay.
They call me many things, and one of them is Ken Sasquatch James. Or Ken Bigfoot James.
Okay.
The size 13s would yield in my favor.
Okay.
Hey?
All right. Well, so you have this footage which apparently they were going out there for this express purpose of trying to film a documentary about Bigfoot.
Now, one thing that I want to point out here. So, as a young man, a young lad out here,
young buck
in the excited world of cryptozoology, finally learning about this at the, tender age of preteen, whatever I was.
Yeah.
I never knew those facts about they were actually going out to actually do this. Mm-hmm. And first thing off the bat, mm-hmm. right?
Yeah.
Anytime someone's attempting to do something and catches it,
mm-hmm.
hoax. Yeah, bullshit, yep. Right? Even with ghost hunters and stuff like that. So most of the time where you have the, express want to try to capture something and also being obsessed with it, and apparently you talk about it a lot and you're like, I'm going to prove this to be real, and then you come back with this, got it,
Yeah.
That is a big hit in credibility for me.
Yeah.
That has always been, and always will be.
Sure.
And I didn't know that at first, but still, the film to me, it's good.
I hear you. You can't just write it off completely, because then you'll watch it one day and you're like, bullshit, and then you'll come back to it again and you're like, yeah, but look at that.
Yeah. So the first thing I want to cite, I'm gonna pull up for myself on my computer here, just the straight up zoomed in shot of it, right? And in the 70s, I mean, these guys aren't these are cowboys, right? These are ranch hand kind of guys, right?
Allegedly. I mean, not so much Patterson. Patterson was kind of a failed kind of. He was trying a bunch of almost get rich quick kind of schemes.
Right.
Which does not look well in his favor.
So yeah, okay. So that doesn't look right in his favor, and I can. But still, looking at the picture, right? All right. So let's say they do make this costume.
Okay.
Right. Now let's say it is somehow, and what is it? 1967, right?
October 20th.
So
it was a Friday. Sorry.
No, that's good. I like that. But so let's say these guys, get rich quick guy, and the other guy's like a ranch hand who, isn't necessarily saying, he had a part of this documentary that he was doing, and the other guy wants to go out there. I'm looking at it and it's like, look, all right, first of all, I am seeing musculature. I am seeing, is it a skin-tight fursuit that they're showing me here? Did it make it? Did they find a material at the time that was really good. And you know, where did they find the hair to make it land like it did? Although the footage is grainy, you still see the sheen. You still see things like the breasts. You know, you still...
That's another interesting aspect.
And you do see the muscle flex. You do.
Okay.
Right? So at that point, it's like, all right, so maybe these guys had some kind of spandex they knew about that other people didn't at this time. And, you know, I don't know. And that's the tough thing. And also, see, the face of it, as far as it goes for me, it's not that kind of cliche thing. But it's also kind of the first of its kind, right?
Okay.
So, like, anything that's come since then hasn't looked as much as... I don't know. There's something about it that, like...
It has that original aspect to it where it's like, whatever realism that exists there, whether it's real or imagined, does not exist in the ones that came after.
Right.
Because the other ones were imitations.
Yeah. Yeah, and the other ones, too, they add so much of this, like, Hollywood ape-like kind of thing to it, where this kind of has this, like, puss on its face as it looks back, right? And, like, it does seem like just like a disgruntled animal. So when it comes to the costume, like, yeah, we can say all we want, but with the creature's face, like I was saying, like, and you were saying, it's everything else was imitation. So at this point, there's something about it that sticks out to me as, like, I don't know, it's just different, like, because it's the first, I guess. But it has this puss, this look on its face of, like, dissatisfaction, and it doesn't look like a mask to me. I don't know why it doesn't, because I've seen so many realistic masks, well, you know, back in the 60s, but it just doesn't seem like it's a mask to me. I don't know.
I mean, the film is grainy enough where it's like, okay, we don't get that close of a look, like, not even at all. So that's definitely on their side. But before we get ahead of ourselves, I definitely want to just I just want to lay out the encounter as it's, you know, been related by Patterson and Gimlin. So as the story goes, it was the early afternoon on Friday, October 20th, 1967. Patterson and Gimlin were riding upstream on northeast on horseback along the east bank of Bluff Creek. At some time between 1:15 and 1:40 p.m., they came to an overturned tree with a large root system at a turn in the creek, almost as high as a room. When they rounded it, there was a log jam, or crow's nest, left over from the flood of '64, which we had mentioned earlier. And then they spotted the figure behind it nearly simultaneously. So they see this thing, but then they see this figure. It was either crouching beside the creek to their left or standing there on the opposite bank. They couldn't tell. Gimlin later described himself as in a mild state of shock after first seeing the figure. So as soon as he saw it, he was like, boom, what the hell is that?
Yeah.
Patterson initially estimated its height at 6 feet 6 inches to 7 feet, and later raised his estimate to about 7 feet 6 inches. However, some later analysts... I mean, it's a big jump. Some later analysts have suggested Patterson's later estimate was about 1 foot too tall. So they're saying about 6 feet, which is not that big.
It's not.
That's us.
Yeah, that's me and you.
Yeah.
We could obviously be Bigfoot.
Yeah.
I'm part Bigfoot, apparently.
Right. A California Bigfoot.
Yeah.
The film shows what Patterson and Gimlin claim was a large, hairy, bipedal ape-like figure with short, silvery brown and dark reddish brown and black. So there's a bunch of colors on there.
Yeah.
Hair covering...
It's a mutt.
Hair covering most of its body, including its prominent breasts. Interesting. The figure in the film generally matches the descriptions of Bigfoot offered by others who claim to have seen one. Patterson estimated he was about 25 feet away from the creature at his closest. That's close.
Right.
That's the bush right there, the red with the flowers.
They're not that close.
That's dangerously close.
Yeah, and they're obviously because they're not that close.
I mean, when they no. Okay, so let me continue.
Okay.
All right. Patterson said that his horse reared upon sensing the figure, and he spent about 20 seconds extricating himself from the saddle, controlling his horse, getting around to the other side, and getting his camera from a saddlebag before he could run toward the figure while operating his camera. He yelled, "Cover me," to Gimlin, meaning to get the gun out. Gimlin crossed the creek on horseback after Patterson had run well beyond it, riding on a path somewhat to the left of Patterson's and somewhat beyond his position. Patterson estimates he came within 60 to 90 feet of Patty, and they're having that in in quotation, so I'm guessing that's what they called the creature, considering the breasts that they could see on it. Yeah. Then, rifle in hand, he dismounted, but did not point his rifle at the creature. The figure had walked away from them to a distance of about 120 feet before Patterson began to run after it. The resulting film is initially quite shaky until Patterson got about 80 feet from the figure. At that point, the figure glanced over its right shoulder at the men, that classic.
Yeah.
And Patterson fell to his knees. On Grant's map, this corresponds to frame 264. Okay. To researcher John Green, Patterson would later characterize the creature's expression as one of, quote, contempt and disgust. You know how it is when the umpire tells you one more word and you're out of the game. That's the way it felt.
Oh, I know that look.
Yeah?
Oh, yeah. Big time.
Shortly after this point, the steady middle portion of the film begins, containing the famous look-back frame, 352. Patterson said, it turned a total of, I think, 3 times. The other times, therefore, being before the filming began and or while he was running with his finger off the trigger. Shortly after glancing over its shoulder on the film, the creature disappeared behind a grove of trees for 14 seconds, then reappeared in the film's final 15 seconds after Patterson moved 10 feet to a better vantage point, fading into the trees again and being lost to view at a distance of 265 feet as the reel of film ran out. Gimlin remounted the horse and followed it on horseback, keeping his distance, until it disappeared around a bend in the road 300 yards away. Patterson called him back at that point, feeling vulnerable on foot without a rifle because he feared the creature's mate might approach. That's an interesting concept.
Yes.
The entire encounter had lasted less than 2 minutes. Just at the end here, next, Gimlin and Patterson rounded up Patterson's horses, which had run off in the opposite direction downstream before the filming began. Patterson got his second roll of film from his saddlebag and filmed the tracks. Then the men tracked Patty, quote-unquote, for either 1 mile or 3 miles, but lost it in the heavy undergrowth. They went to the campsite 3 miles south, picked up plaster, returned to the initial site, measured the creature's step length, and made 2 plaster casts, one each of the best quality right and left prints.
Okay, so first, I want to talk about here's where the personal account. So let's say we're in the I want to believe mindset, right?
Okay.
So it was recently flooding, right? So and you can see I'm looking at the famous frame here, where I'm looking at that, and I can see in the background where quite literally I can see, yes, there is some remnants of flooding, right? So there, okay, if we're in the I want to believe headspace, all right, that matches up. 2, in the still frame of what they have here, doesn't look like a costume. It does look organic, right?
Yeah.
So now let's go to their telling of the story. So when I was initially saying, oh no, the film, that's way too close, that's before they started filming, I jumped ahead. Now, this isn't the time of cell phones. This isn't the time of camcorders. This is reels of film, correct?
Yeah.
So there's some work to go into getting this going. Of course, it's going to be shaky. And you all right?
Yeah, no, I'm just I'm looking around because we're outside. I'm trying to get like the distance of 25 feet.
Okay.
I'm imagining it. You're that close to a fucking Bigfoot.
Yeah.
It's 25 feet away. Like, I can kind of, knowing that other detail, and I don't know if I knew that before, but knowing that extra detail, like, I could see why he paused and was shaking. Like, you just happen to be riding up, having a little horsey horse fun, and then you come around this thing, and there's a goddamn Bigfoot there.
And this is something you've been looking for, too, right?
Yeah.
So think about a hunter, right? Yeah. So only the best ones are like, I got it, boom. This is a whatever point buck. So you finally see it, and like a lot of, like, I know plenty of hunters that are really good, but every time you kind of get that moment of, So, and excuse me, when I asked him if he was okay, he's looking around and I'm thinking something's going on.
No, sorry.
But so we're in that I want to believe. So okay. So we don't have, you gotta get this like film stock out for this camera.
Yeah. You
see the thing, you're this close to it, and from where you're looking, the story checks out that there was a flood through here at this point.
Yeah.
There's the remnants of puddles in stone and rock, and this thing is moving in a way of where it's like, you motherfucker, like, God damn it, these people, and it's walking and it turns, and you see titties.
I mean, I don't think you're expecting that either.
You aren't.
No. I think it's interesting, too, because, okay, so if this is all right, so
where it is. Okay, you're in this area that just had a flood or whatever. Maybe this river has kind of or stream has somewhat diverted from what it originally had.
Right.
I don't know what the season is, but maybe it was down there because there was easy pickings for fish.
Yeah.
So maybe it was down there.
Okay. Or they are foragers, right? And they collect and they gather things, and it whisked away some of their collection of something. So they're following a scent or something to go collect what has been whisked away.
Well, the flood was in 64. This is in 67. So my idea is just that maybe the direction of the stream changed and where they were. I think it was just a chance encounter.
Right.
If it is real, because it's so if it is real, I think it's a chance encounter because I think everyone was caught off guard.
Right.
If it was real, I think that the creature was down there doing its business, whatever it was, getting fish, taking a dump. I don't know what it was doing.
Yeah.
And then these guys come around the corner, and the creature must have been so absorbed in what it was doing that it didn't hear them coming.
Right.
And then they see it, and then, holy shit, here it is. The horses get spooked.
Yeah.
He gets thrown off his fucking horse. And then he's like, got to get the bag. Get to the bag, get the film reel. And then, he's running after it, trying to film it.
Yeah.
I mean, the details around it are like, it's pretty great because it's like, the details are kind of like what make it, like, you have the film and we can look at it. And I mean, 67, this is after 2001 Space Odyssey, where you have the beginning, you have all those ape suits.
Yeah.
And but those are clearly dudes in ape suits.
Yeah. It's 60s Hollywood. It's not,
and it's funny too because we can get to it later, but there's like they screened this for like dudes in like the special effects guys.
Yeah.
And like it was like some guys were like, that's stupid, and some guys were like, wow.
Right.
So
and my thing is too, look, there's something about the crown, right? The crown of the head and the movement. It's like anyone that said, oh, this is stupid, it's like, all right, well, then how come you haven't used that in any of your stuff?
Yeah.
How come you haven't used that shape that's anatomically correct to
a gorilla?
A gorilla, right? And none of them were able to get that and do that.
Yeah.
So, and this, then we're in the point of still, I want to believe, right?
Sure.
So, like, there's a part of its, like, physiology or its physique and everything that it just, I don't know, it doesn't look like a suit because of those details, right? And no one's thinking of putting breasts on a suit.
No, it's definitely an outside the box. Like now, if we're going back to if it's not real, that's definitely an outside of the box kind of thing. Like, hey, everyone's expecting this. Why don't we make it a female?
Right. But the thing is, too, no one really talked about that until like the late 80s, early 90s about the breasts, right?
Because, like, they weren't really giving many interviews about it, apparently. And then, like, so Patterson dies in 72, I think they said, which was not long after. And I think this didn't really become very famous until, like, I guess they got it more on TV or whatever it was. So once they started, once Gimlin started talking about it more, then they were analyzing the film, cleaning it up. That's when you can see that it was a female.
Right.
And then you see more of it. Then you're like, I mean, I don't know how primate anatomy is, but then you can kind of see, like, it has breasts, but then it also has, like, the pelvis seems thicker, the thighs seem a little bit thicker. It definitely. Then you look at it more, you're like, that's totally a female. They didn't just be like, hey, this needs something. You know what it needs? Tits.
Yeah, right.
Like, I don't think they did. Like, if it's not real, I don't think they did that.
Yeah, they weren't like, slap tits on this thing. We'll rock out.
Yeah, it's it's.
And was that a happy accident where something in the suit, padding fell down to make it?
If this was created by someone or a team of people, then that was purposeful,
deliberate. Yeah,
because that seems like, I mean, just from my own experience, that seems like an artistic decision. It's like, you know what? Make it a female.
Yeah.
Why? Because it's just going to be more interesting.
Yeah, and also you have this whole aggressive male idea when it goes to the Yeti or the abominable snowman. It's like this big, like, this is just, like, it's like, oh, we found this female in its habitat that, like, it's not aggressive, right? It's walking away, it doesn't want to be bothered. And at that point, it does open a whole different discussion of, oh, well, maybe it is real because it's not acting in that certain way.
Right.
So for them, I know that, the one is out there trying to make some kind of documentary.
Yeah.
Did he have that thought process is the question, right?
I don't know. I mean, that could be the thing that kind of fucks him up. It's like,
because he was out there looking for it is the thing that makes people not believe right off the bat.
Right.
But maybe he just happened to be that lucky schmuck that went out to this very out of the way place in these logging areas where they were, apparently, loggers were seeing these things, and whatnot. But I think there's something really interesting about, there's 2 points I want to go over, but I like the whole part where he talks about the expression of contempt and disgust, which is interesting. Like, to me, that almost seems like this creature, if it's real, is very aware that humans are coming more and more into their territory, and she's like, more of you?
Yeah.
I'm just trying to get some food over here.
Yeah.
More of you?
Or I'm just trying to take a dump away from my food and family.
Right. Whatever it is, but that is also, I'll put that in the category of, that makes me think that it's real.
Right,
right. Because, it's not like the rage and like King Kong kind of thing.
I kill you!
Yeah, or just like, that it's afraid. No, it's walking away, but at the same time, it's walking away with contempt and disgust. Those are...
Yeah, so on that point, piggybacking off that, logging town where people have been having these encounters with these things, so these things have also had encounters with people.
Yeah.
So obviously if, there's a pack of, lions or bears or they know their interactions with people, and the animals act accordingly, right?
Yes. Yep.
So let's say they're taking over more and more of this land.
Yeah. Are we going to start talking about Ghost in the Darkness?
I swear to Christ, dude, I was this close. That was what I was about to say. That's why I said lions instead of Ghost in the Darkness. But that's what I'm saying.
Yeah.
So it's that idea of, their attitude has changed on how to deal with humans because,
But I think it's in comparing it to that. That's definitely a good point. Like how animals change their behavior when they encounter humans and things like that. Whereas the lions were trying to eat the humans because they know that humans are very easy prey.
Yeah.
But at the same time, this is a Bigfoot that's just like doesn't want anything to do with us.
Yeah.
They're just like, ugh.
Yeah. Like, and if we go back to the Vietnam apes, they all the humans they encountered had AKs and shit.
Yeah.
So like they're like, let's just throw rocks at these motherfuckers.
Yeah, and that could have been the thing, man. She could have, this particular Bigfoot. If these things exist, there has to be a sizable
and region and territory. They differ.
Or hey, maybe she was one of the last.
Right,
because I think that's
deforestation. That whole
yeah. They could have been dying off to begin with,
right?
And like we come in there, here's our saws,
we're gonna make houses.
Travis Walton comes in, UFOs show up. Don't talk about those. It's my rule. Just a little sidebar here, folks. Don't talk about UFOs when you're outside because they can hear you.
Yeah, they can. And if it's anything that paranormal caught on tape has taught me.
That Bigfoot is also involved with UFOs?
Well, it's also that UFOs, you can interact. This is another topic. Yeah, well, I'm sorry.
It's fine.
Anyway, but Bigfoot and
UFOs that whole idea that it's like she's out there. We'll talk about her, Patty.
Yeah.
Patty's out there. She's doing her thing.
Yeah.
Maybe she has kids. What are they?
Younglings.
Babies. Younglings. She's out there doing her thing, maybe, the male does whatever they do in this, I don't know what their hierarchy is.
They probably just like hang out, watch TV back at the hut.
Right. Anyway, so they do their thing. She's out there, and whatever her daily thing was, whatever considering that it's real, and then this new thing within the last 20 years. Let's say she's a young female. I don't know how old she is.
Right.
Let's say she's 25, 30 years old. Right? Who knows how long these things live?
Yeah.
But in her life, this has been new for their species. Like humans coming up here, these hairless apes coming up here, making all this fucking noise, cutting the trees down, and they don't like it.
Yeah.
But they're of the type where they're smart enough to know that, like, well, we're not going to interact. We're just going to get away.
Yeah. Right.
And if they are or were real, which is kind of where I'm at on these things, that like they were real,
right?
But they're not anymore. And if there is a few left, maybe.
Yeah.
But I think these last encounters that like have happened like in the 60s, 70s were like the last of them.
Okay. Yeah, see, I like that idea too, and that theory.
There's a full historical record in Red Dead Redemption, Undead Nightmare, where Bigfoot clearly tells you that there's none left, and you shoot him anyway.
Yeah, and that's what we do, right?
Yeah.
We're just salty old cowboy dogs
Rest
out
in
here.
peace, John Marston.
Dude, don't do that to me right now.
Anyway,
But yeah, so with that, like, all right, so you look at dogs, right?
Okay.
And you look at like wild dogs, right?
Okay.
And like in places like Mexico, Honduras, all these different places, some of the dogs that are wounded,
okay.
like, and there's videos all over the internet. You can find them. Most of them try to stay away, right?
Mm-hmm.
If they're wounded and they're hungry, they try to stay away from the human, right?
Yeah.
And they try to do their best. If someone comes to try to bite them, and it's like, no, we're just trying to help you, right? And it's that kind of because dogs have a pack mentality,
Sure.
as well as any kind of apex or prime kind of animal that's used to hunting and things like that. So yeah, the concept of like, here's this hairless ape or this person who's like in my territory, like, it's not going to come up to you for help, even
No.
if it's wounded.
Yeah.
Its first reaction is to run away or attack.
Sure.
Like, even the dogs that are domesticated, most of the time, they want to run around and explore. You gotta
Right.
chase your fucking dog down sometimes, and then they'll come back and you're fine. But
Yeah, that's also a species that, we've created.
Right,
So
right,
their
right.
whole history is with us.
right, but what I'm saying is the ones that aren't, the wild ones, their first thing is to attack or run away, even if they can't.
Yeah.
Like, if they get their foot caught in a fence and someone's trying to cut them out and let them go.
Oh, sure,
They're
sure.
like, get the fuck away from me,
Yeah.
dude.
No. Yeah, because they, you're just an unknown and possible threat.
Right,
Which when
right.
you live that, when you're out here in the jungle, aka the streets,
Yeah.
it's hard. So
It's hard out here in the jungle, a.k.a. the streets.
yeah,
Right.
to Bigfoot, it's the streets.
Yeah, it is. He's like, motherfucker, do you mother...
So there's another point that I want to go back to that adds to credibility for me. So Gimlin said that he originally had the rifle.
Right.
Now, most people will say, why didn't you shoot? And people have said it to him a million times. He didn't even aim his rifle at it, right?
Right.
So if you're not... I don't know if he's a hunter. I don't know what he was out there doing. But, like... All right, so I can relate this to a personal experience, all right? The first time I ever saw a fox in the wild,
Okay.
all right? First of all, if you're not expecting it, and you're probably not, it was like during the golden hour, right? The lights coming out, and these are bright red,
Yeah.
animals.
Yeah.
So it like came out from this like path. I was walking in the woods near my parents' house, and it came out and like the light hit it, and it was this bright orange, and all you can do is go, it's amazing. You know what I mean?
Right.
It's like it's one of those moments like that doesn't happen every day.
Yeah.
Like it's this, and it's a fox, and like it was gorgeous. I
And
was
you
like,
didn't
wow, look at
bend
this
down
thing.
to pet it with your sword and...
No, Jin. But my point being is that that's a fox, and I was like stunned. I was like,
Yeah.
wow. All right, this guy's out there has a gun, right?
Yeah.
And they come across this thing that they are startled by, and they startle it as well, it seemed, right? So, and you're out there and you see this thing and you have a gun. Are you going to shoot that thing?
I wouldn't. No, it's leaving.
And it's also like, that might be the only one of those.
Right.
I'm not going to shoot that. You know what I mean?
And here's another thing off that too, is that it didn't react the way that anyone would portray it.
Yeah,
right?
its eyes didn't turn red.
It didn't like and like go crazy. It was just
Yeah,
like,
it's just like,
fuck you again. Like
Yeah.
really, like
Yeah.
this was like I almost had this. Maybe it was like hunting a frog or something. You know what I mean? Like it was like you again. Like come on.
It's like you guys aren't supposed to be out here.
Yeah. What are you doing?
Yeah.
Like go back to your huts, like your houses.
Yeah. So I think that like if you were to see something like that, or like I don't know, like I went whale watching one time, and you see that, and it's like, oh man, they do exist.
Yeah.
Not that you don't know that exist,
Yeah.
but when you see those things in the wild,
It's
you're
different,
like,
yeah.
you feel small,
Right.
and you feel like you think it's like, yeah, but that has just as much right to exist as I do.
Yeah.
I don't mean to sound like a hippie right now,
No.
but like.
Honestly, it has more.
Yeah.
It has more for right now.
Yeah, and you see it, and and I'm just talking about relating this, fox and whale
Right,
and this.
right.
It's just like those things. No, I'm not going to shoot it. Like, yes, everyone who isn't there, everyone, dude, why didn't you fucking shoot it?
Yeah.
Everyone on their couch telling me
Yeah,
that, like,
yeah.
yeah, but you weren't there.
Yeah.
You weren't in the context of in this forest,
Right.
20 miles from civilization, just
And
there.
you're in its territory.
Yeah, what if you shoot it and it doesn't kill it?
Yeah.
And then it fucking,
And then it's like, oh, really? Oh,
All
okay. Okay.
Yep.
Cool shot, bro.
Now this is happening.
Check that. It's like Jim Belushi, the principal. My turn.
Yeah.
When he is the guy.
Yeah.
Like, that's the thing. It's like, so with the credibility of it, it's like, why didn't you shoot it? It's like, well, one, why the fuck would I?
Yeah.
I'm out here trying to find this thing. I want to see. I want to know it exists. So I'm going to kill this thing that I hope exists.
Yep. I only shoot pictures. But seriously though, you could take that approach.
Yeah.
Like if
Right.
Bob Ross was out there in the you know what I'm
man.
saying?
If Bob Ross was out there, first of all,
He would have came back with it like best friends with the fucking thing.
Yeah, that's what
He'd be like, we're married now.
It would have had a fro.
Yeah.
It would have had a fro. It would have learned to paint and been like,
Yeah.
Bob taught good paint. You
Yeah.
know, like happy cloud, forest, fun. You know, like.
Yeah.
And then if Steve Irwin was out there,
I think he would have tried to like.
they would have wrestled.
They would have.
Wrestled.
They would have wrestled like the way the kids describe their parents wrestling. You know what I'm saying?
Oh, I
They
know.
would have wrestled.
He'd be like, right. So I got this thing in my sights, right? So I grab him. No, I feel tits. So I grab him. It turns to me, grabs me crotch. We start making out.
And I'm like, crikey.
Yeah, crikey. Lo and behold, my third child. Here's my third
I
child.
feel like his name would be Buster.
Buster would be the third child. That'd
Yeah.
be awesome.
That's a good name for like a Bigfoot kid, Jacob.
I know, yeah, Jacob. We're not supposed to for Jacob. I just paused.
Buster
and made a
Irwin?
face. Buster Irwin, and he wears the same outfit.
Yeah, like the other kids are like, you know, blonde hair, you know,
Yeah,
big
yeah.
smiles. This kid's like knuckle dragging,
Yeah,
like, "Arr."
yeah, and it's Buster
Yeah.
Irwin.
Yeah.
I owe you $50 for that idea.
You're welcome.
I swear to God, that is. Oh, God, gang. Oh dears, gang.
Oh dears. Yeah, those are a different gang.
Yeah, yeah. OD Piers. My God, Buster Irwin. That's a thing. Boom.
All right, so it's another one of our characters. Our
Yes.
growing stable of characters.
Yep. Buster
So,
Irwin. I love you. I fucking love you, man.
I love you too, buddy.
Wow, Buster Irwin.
So, derailed.
Hey, you earned one because I did the last few.
Very, very true.
Yeah.
No, so, man, like,
Should we go to the other side now?
sure. Why it's not real?
Why it's not real?
Okay.
Because it could be a costume. No,
Because it could be a costume.
right.
I've heard plenty of the one that like shattered me. The one that like when people were like, okay, so there's the dude. His name was Bob Hieronymus. The guy that when he
That's
walks, he
yeah.
looks just like it. And it's not like he kind of looks like
Yeah.
it. It's like, oh fuck,
Right.
that's the guy in that suit. And then there's the other story where they tell where Patterson was in on it. And the guy Bob Hieronymus were in on it,
Yeah.
but Gimlin wasn't. So it's the two of them, Patterson and Hieronymus, who are basically fooling Gimlin, giving him the best day of his life of this Bigfoot sighting. You know what I'm saying? So
Dude.
like they basically created an authentic witness by fooling him into thinking he
Right.
was having this experience.
It
so
was scare
essentially,
tactics without the ending.
right. So essentially, he did have this experience. At least he thought he did. So he's never going to fail.
Shit.
He's never going to fail a lie detector test
Right.
because to him it was real.
Right.
He, like, you know, like they say in what's that movie from 1984? He's like, she's telling the truth. At least she thinks she is. 1984. Ivan Reitman directed
Yeah, is
it.
it-
Couple of
Ghost
bangers.
Fighters. Ghost Busters.
That's
it. That's it. But yeah, that's. God
And that's
damn it.
and that's the one that got me too, because I was like, because if you put those two elements together, plus the fact that he was definitely working on a film to begin with,
Right.
and there's a few of them, and I forget the guy's name, but he was like a Hollywood guy who made these suits. He was like, yeah, I made it. And they've asked a bunch of guys, like famously Rick Baker was like, that's like the worst suit I've ever seen. But then other guys are like, what are you talking about? There's musculature under that suit. They didn't, nobody was doing that back then.
And that's the thing with like Rick Baker's, you know, just fucking being pompous and like. Because
I mean, at least he had. This is Rick Baker we're talking about. It's like
Right.
fucking Tom Savini's up there, like, oh, it looks like dog shit. It's like, yeah, like all your work,
almost spit out a mouthful of beer.
except for
gang.
Creep Show. But even then,
Yeah, well, the thing is, it's like, all right, if you want to completely go and bash it, right? That okay, all right. But in the same breath, it's like, I don't know if that's the worst costume I've ever seen, because I've seen horrible costumes.
No, it's definitely not. And I think that, like, I don't know. There's something to be said about, like, when a piece of evidence is so convincing, and there are people who, if there's folks that are just, I mean, I don't know how invested people could ever be in Bigfoot, but, like, if you don't want that to be real, you could just be like, fucking thing in a suit to make you feel better.
Right.
Like, I mean, I know there's definitely, like, let's say you watch, you're up at night and you're on you're on your phone, watch some ghost videos on like YouTube or some
like
shit.
we are frequently.
Yeah, but then at the end of it, you're like, that's all bullshit. So you don't go upstairs and like in your covers for an hour before you fall asleep
you're
in
in
horror.
Your believies.
Yeah,
you have your believies, and I don't want to.
So I think that, I mean, there could be something to be said about that in that way, but then there's also like we want to believe, right? So does that also make us, I don't know, bias a bit because we are, I want to believe, so I'm already in the mode of I want to believe this. Yeah. And I realize that, so I also at the same time have to also autocorrect at the same time to be like, all right, why am I bullshitting myself?
Yeah. Well, here's the big thing with that. So for me, like, so do I want to believe it's real? Yeah. Do I also try my best to pick it apart as best I can? Yeah. Mm-hmm. And that's a rare thing with people like me and you, where most people that I know that are enthusiasts on Bigfoot or paranormal, they as soon as they see a video or something, they're like, dude, you got to check this out. We recently received one from someone that apparently had a credible story. It was a ghost video. And like, it was like, you use classic Patterson Gimlin, motion, kind of stuff to distort it, and didn't hold up at all towards what this video could have. Yeah. But in the same breath, look, that isn't the worst costume I've ever seen. No, it's not. And we're enthusists.
No, like, there's you can go on YouTube, and we should get paid by YouTube. We fucking mentioned them so many times. Yeah. There are horrible Bigfoot suits. The worst one, I will say, is the one that tried to show too much and is ridiculous. The ones they show on the Survivor Man Bigfoot episodes, the guy who has like the animatronic faces that are blinking, they're like
well, that's the In Search of Sasquatch documentary or whatever.
No, they're on those episodes too.
Well, I'm saying, but that's from that documentary.
And that guy's on there like, this. It's like, why are they super zoomed in on their heads that never seem to swivel on their neck? And there's no movement in their head. Like anything that's real will be moving. You'll see some movement somewhere. It's like they're just sitting there, and like you can almost literally hear the servos moving as the eyes blink.
Well, didn't we talk about that? You said the one guy's sister-in-law is like a head of a special effects company or something like that? I believe it
is, Right? Those ones are complete horseshit, because it's like, first of all, if we're going to see that much of that creature's face, which I don't know if you know what we're talking about, folks, but like, maybe we have to drop a link or something, but like, these are so obviously a hoax, because it's just like, oh look, I got this video of it just sitting there blinking. Well, why don't you film longer when it got up and moved? We would be like, okay, it's real, here you go,
there it is.
So that's clearly fake because it's too good. This one, it's like the things that are good about it are only good because people have noticed how good it is later. It wasn't out on Front Street, check out these fucking muscles, rippling.
Look at me, like my tits, no. Yeah, and that's the problem, right? That's the problem that we always encounter with these kind of videos. Is like, my friend was like, well, why is this video fake? And I'm like, well, I can go ahead and give you a rundown, but it's like, it might as well just be me rattling off a bunch of things of why I'm overcritical about stuff. Sure. And that gets us into, I'm not going to say hot water with people, but it gets us into like don't go to those guys that don't believe in anything, when we clearly do.
Sure.
Right? Because
I just think that the things that are believable or are worthy are worthy enough to be looked at a second, third, fourth time, and they're like, you know what? I can't give you an answer on this, so I'm going to say right now there's a lot of credibility to it. So that's all I can say.
Yeah, that's all I can say.
So, not believing in anything, I don't think that's the case. But then people who believe in almost everything you look at, well, they're worthless. Right. They have no critical thinking.
Right. So American Horror Story fans. I'm sorry. There's a couple seasons that were good. Anyway, so it goes back to so the.
Hold on, sorry, Mikey. I know you love that show.
Fuck, Mikey. I'm sorry. I did it again. I keep doing this to poor Mikey. I'm sorry, buddy. But so it goes back to what we were talking about. The best tool for any hunting of all these things is you.
It is me, isn't it?
It's you. It's Jason McKittrick. So if you want to hunt down a cryptid, a ghost, specter, demon.
My natural pheromones will just bring him in.
Jay brings him out. Bring him with you. You know, something will show up, and then you got to, like...
Sometimes I need tools. Like, if we're going after Leprechaun, I need the whistle.
Yeah, okay. He has these things. He has tools. But in the end, in reality, the greatest thing is that, like, you had Jay with you, so then he can critique their movie taste or TV show taste.
Oh, yeah, right.
Yeah, the Bigfoot's like, I really liked this episode. And you're like...
And I'm just like, and you're a fool. And now I know why you dwell in the forest. Stay there.
You have nothing to contribute with cinema.
Yep.
Thanks, man.
Yep. And there's 5 of them there. I'm just like, kill them all.
Yeah, time to go mobile.
Yep.
But, so anyway, what I was actually saying before, it's Jay's turn to derail. The last 2 episodes I was derailing, now it's Jay's turn. So, but what I was saying is, like, yeah, your best investigative device is yourself, your experience. That's the best thing. And as far as the story of... Something else just happened here, but we'll keep it up. But as far as the Patterson Gimlin experience, the tale, it seems good, right?
Yeah,
it seems like a good personal experience, and they have the rare case of this footage that has yet to be proven or disproven, right?
And that's a good spot to be in.
Right.
Because you're not like, oh, most people think it's a piece of shit. And then it's like, well, and then it's not. It's like 50-50. At least, I think. And then you get people who are like, for years, like, oh, no, it's amazing. And then they have, you know, some kind of like life experience. And then they're like, well, now I need to have... No, it's not real because I've changed my view on stuff now. And now I don't believe in this kind of stuff because I made $250 million through Spotify. And now I have a lame fucking podcast that isn't really even interesting to listen to anymore because all my guests are clowns. What?
I don't know. What? Did you black out for a minute?
I did. I'm sorry.
Oh, well, hey. Yeah, well... It is, like you said, it is a good problem to have because here we are. Oh.
Get it? Ken just freshmaned his own beer.
Yeah. High Life, man. No, the High Life does it. But it's a good problem to have because here we are. You know, it was the 60s. We're still talking about it. People are still talking about it. And we're still interested in it.
Yeah.
And, you know, GD it all to H. I still think it's interesting.
Yeah. No, it definitely is. And a little addendum to all this. I mean, because I can't really give you a conclusion on this. I mean, we can't go to the, is it ODP canon? I mean...
No, this has nothing with the canon or the chum bucket.
Nope.
This is just its own...
It's just what it is.
It's an X-File episode. It's one of those side episodes where they go to like a farm where...
Inconclusive.
Inconclusive.
And yep, and I like that.
Yeah.
But I think we wanted to talk about a little... fun little film that was made.
Yeah, from our Bobcat Goldthwait himself.
Bobcat Goldthwait?
Goldthwait. Who knows how to really say his name? Come on.
Me?
The guy from Police Academy and Scrooged. We'll say that. But he made a film called Willow Creek, and it's a found footage film, and there are some loving tributes to the Blair Witch Project, which, let's face it, is the granddaddy of all the good ones, right?
The gold standard,
the gold standard. Because you had, like, you know, Cannibal Holocaust and things like that, and other ones that were just like, all right. But, you know, if anyone has a problem with the Blair Witch Project, first and foremost, look, your imagination either sucks.
Why are you so defensive? Nobody said anything.
I know there's people out there.
Oh, no, there's plenty.
The problem is I've had this argument, and that's why I'm so defensive. But there are... oh, man, that movie is top to bottom. Mwah. But Willow Creek is very, very good.
Yep, 2013, our boy Bobcat. Found footage. And this is, you know, a la Blair Witch, where it's, you know... a dude and his girl, they're set out. He wants to go find the original filming location of where they filmed the Patterson Gimlin film. And you know, long story short, they're trekking through the woods, and then there's like personal drama that's occurring while they're searching for it. You know, he pops the question
in a tent.
In a tent, he pops a tent in the
when things start to get crazy.
Yeah, which is nuts. I mean, they're walking around the woods. They find this place. They run into one like hillbilly that's like, "Turn back now."
Well, they run into a bunch of people, but the one that was a good scene.
Yeah, it was.
Yeah, that scene was like a guy tries to be nice. He's like, you shouldn't be out here. And they keep kind of pushing, and then he's like, I was nice once. Yeah. And the way he says it, like, too. That guy was like, whoa, where did they find this guy? You know, the Woodsman School of Scorsese. Like, you know, like what?
I don't know, it's probably just a cop.
Yeah, right. Probably was just a cop. And he's just like, I was nice the first time. Time to go back. And You know, and then
Yeah.
of course they
Yep, they
find
work their way in there,
Yep.
and then so it's like what they get in there, they get into the woods, they're in deep, they get lost, I think,
they do.
and then but they decide to set up camp.
Yeah, and there's a loving tribute to the Blair Witch Project
Right.
when crossing they find the same stump. And,
Yes,
you know, they're lost.
They are
Big-
lost.
Big time.
big time. Yeah,
Big time.
So they get lost. They they set up the tent. They're in there filming, talking to each other, try not to freak each other out or whatever. But before the shit hits the fan, he pops the question to his girlfriend, who succinctly turns him down.
Yeah. She's like, I love you. I'm loving us and this, and I support you, but not right now, pal.
Not yet. And then just as his heart rips in two, you hear the whoop.
Oh.
It's like, oh no.
Yeah.
And they do it a few times, and that's one of my favorite Bigfoot clips, whatever you want to call it,
Yeah,
sound bites.
yeah.
Because that's actually from. It's not the Sierra Sounds. Maybe it is the Sierra Sounds. There's a few, and we will go over a few of those when we get to our later episodes on later Bigfoot episodes. But there's a few that are blood curdling.
Yeah.
And you're like, if I ever heard that when I was in the woods, I'd just be
Right.
dead.
Yeah, and the first time I heard Bigfoot sounds was on that episode of Sightings. Fake Six, I know from school.
Yeah.
It was on the Sci-Fi Channel, and it was this one where I was like, wait, what?
The one where he's like, that one.
And,
Yeah.
and they find the nests.
Yeah,
And it was
yeah.
the nests. So it was the
Right.
nests and the sounds of this one Bigfoot hunter, and it added a whole layer of credibility for me, because I was of the school of watching Ripley's Believe It or Not.
Yeah.
And they put the story of Bob, the one who said I was Bigfoot.
Bob Hieronymus.
And they blew out of the water for me. But
Yeah,
then, 3 months later, I
Yeah.
see this rerun of this Sightings episode.
Yep.
And I was like, fuck that guy.
And then there's a bunch of them too, because then and the one where it's a condensed audio file, because it's hours of filming,
Yeah,
and
yeah, yeah.
you hear the guy talking in between, but first it's they think it's them fighting, and then it's two of them talking, and
Yeah.
that one's
Yeah.
it's speech.
If you could see Jay's face, that's
Yeah,
the event.
it's bad.
We'll take a picture later.
I
Sure.
heard that the first time when I was doing security. I was alone at night. It was 3 o'clock in the morning. I'm listening to Bigfoot talk. I'm like, that's enough.
Yeah, that's it.
I
Yeah.
put on Looney Tunes. I'm like, I can't fucking get some eye bleach.
Scooby Doo's too
Yeah.
too much too at that
Yeah.
point. You're like,
Yeah.
no, nothing
No,
with
that
any
has
kind of
somewhat
ghoul.
creep. No, I need some. Yeah. Porky Pig, what's up?
Yeah, you need to see bugs. No, you accidentally put on the Porky Pig going to Transylvania episode.
no, still too scary.
Yeah, you're like, no, Wile E. Coyote, throw him off a
Yeah.
cliff.
Yeah, exactly. So yeah, I mean these. Maybe we can drop a clip in here if we can find it.
Okay, if I can find it, it'll be in.
In for night view.
You trying to talk to this? Some reaction here. Like you're laughing now. That's our job. Now we know where we went for tracks and all that for sure.
So maybe you just heard some creepy Bigfoot sounds, because a lot of these, same kind of thing. Like, they can only analyze it so much, but a few of them are like, yeah, that's outside of the human vocal range.
Right.
The one that also gets me, I don't know if you've ever heard, it's like, it's been recorded from a distance. The guy used one of those like parabolic mics or whatever it's called.
Yeah.
And like, it just sounds kind of like, at the end of Predator when Arnold, like, he gets the fire and he's like, ah! Yeah. It sounds like that, but it's at a different pitch, and it's far away, and it's like echoey a little bit. I was like, does that mean it's coming for him?
I don't know. At that point, you shoot it, right?
But the ones that get me the most are the ones like I did before, the whoop, whoop. That's those ones. And like, they do it masterfully in Willow Creek, because like you hear it, let's say it's 100 yards away. Then it's 70 yards away. Then and they does it again, like in intervals.
And they had the tree knocking, which is another which is a big lore in this.
That Bigfoot, they do tree knocking, and they also do stone throwing. Right. And then
the way we won't spoil the ending here if you haven't.
Yeah, if you haven't seen this, guys, this is a good little. I mean, it's like 90 minutes.
Yeah, it's a little over an hour. It's a
little banger.
It's a little banger, real quick. And there was a part in there that I just put together, and I watched it the other night again because me and Jay were talking about it the last time I saw him, and then I rewatched it. Because he was like, "Oh, this is something. I'm not going to give it up." But then there was something in the beginning of the movie that I was like, "Oh, that's the fucking thing I missed."
The posters.
Yeah, the posters in the beginning. And check that out. And one thing again I want to bring up though, I still love the skunk ape pictures. I do. I'm sorry. I still love the skunk ape pictures.
It's like my favorite video, and I can't believe it's coming from Monster Quest, but it's this woman who's like a primatologist. She's like, let me tell you why that's not real, just for a few reasons. Yeah. She's like, the coloring of it. Yeah. Why there's no does it emit gas? Does it actually emit like gas where like they're saying it's a skunk ape, but they're calling it that because it has the black and white stripes? Yeah. There's no reason for it to have that patterning. That signifies in the animal kingdom that it's for predators to stay away from it. Right. Something this large in this environment would not have any natural predators, barring maybe a
bigger Bigfoot.
Well, no, there were lions down there at the time. Florida had whatever. I don't know if they still have them. They're still almost like a mountain, like a cougar. Yeah. And like possibly, but that wouldn't be the way for this thing to get away. Like the creature this size and in this environment would not use that. And then they were just talking about like then she was talking about the direction of the hair on it. Like, nope. It has eye shine. It's like, and that's why people like it. Like, it has eye shine though. It's like, but why is there a big leaf right here on its face?
I'm not one of the eye shine people. I just think it's a great, cool picture.
It's a fun picture, and it was fun for like a couple views.
Teenage Ken was like, "Hey, found it," But I get it.
Early 20s Jay was like, "Okay, I'll consider it. Yeah. I'll allow it."
We high-fived about it for maybe a minute, and then
like, wait a minute, no, what about that?
Just like Slender Man, we high-fived about a minute.
There's a great skunk ape video where that it's one of the better ones. That it's hard. It's like the kids, they're on like bleachers. And they turn around. It's in Florida. I don't know if you've seen this one. They're on the edge of the Everglades. They're on bleachers, and there's like soccer practice or something that's going on. And they turn around and they watch this brown figure walk, like it's walking like at the edge of the woods, and then like crouches down in like the tall grass and stuff, and then like kind of like moves away, and they all freak out. It's convincing. All right. That was one of the ones that I'll have to send it to you if you've never seen it.
Send it to me.
That's a good one too. There's other ones where like it's like all black.
I think we have to stop here because we're going. This was Patterson Gimlin.
Yeah,
we were Sasquatch 3, Bigfoot 3. We'll go into more, but
no, Bigfoot 3. We're going into the Yeti.
Oh my God! Please.
That's the one that's. Woo!
Yeah. Not Mummy 3. The Dragon.
Oh, the ones that are like playing football.
The ones that come out and protect when the Oh my God.
No, I'm talking about horrifically terrifying creatures that survive at these high altitudes. Yeah. Horrific. Yeah. The thing that's inside Expedition Everest.
Yeah. I actually had the privilege of actually seeing it when it was actually working before the frame broke.
Did you really?
Yeah,
that's
twice.
Awesome. Wow.
2 years difference. The first time I went, it was up.
Yeah.
Second time I went, it was up, and then the frame broke. And
it's a shame too, because like I'm not gonna explain myself.
It was terrifying.
I've seen video of when it was actually like how it was like actually moving, and now it's just like there's a light flash.
Yeah, that's B mode. Yeah.
But still, that whole thing, like the ride, the setup when you're going up.
We gotta save it.
The museum.
We gotta save it.
Josh Gates has a little thing in there. He does. His
I didn't know.
picture's
Well,
in
that
there,
was
yeah.
later. That was later because
Because he found that footprint.
dude,
Yeah.
Gates, man, we found the actual footage of Bigfoot.
Do you think that like someone did like some kind of like arcane ritual on like a Muppet and like made him like flesh? Like if Kermit the Frog used to be like a Muppet, but then they did like some kind of like eldritch ritual on him.
There's a lot of people that have that, right?
Right. Mm-hmm.
So even Harold Ramis was almost there.
No. But Josh Gates looks like semi like. Are you sure he's human?
Yeah.
There's something about the way he like.
Gatesy, I'm a fan. I
like him too.
Yeah, and
like maybe there's a little alien in his face.
Even though Gatesy, took your clay and said, had human and fish DNA.
He didn't say it. That.
Well, he's the one who you conveyed it. That R word.
The R word. Sorry, folks. We're a couple beers deep.
Yeah, a couple. Beep. But
all
no,
right.
all right. So we're gonna cut this off here because we don't want to get too much into the other stuff that we need to cover.
Yep. But consider this a second installment, second chapter in the book of Bigfoot.
Book of Bigfoot.
So we're gonna keep it going.
Do you have any closing statements on this?
Yeah. Buster Irwin. He's our new buddy, our little human Bigfoot hybrid.
I am floored by Buster Irwin. I gotta be honest with you.
I mean, we should lay that on someone that's like right here. My wife's sitting right here as we record. I created a new character. Did you know that Steve Irwin actually had relations with a Bigfoot, and he had a third child called Buster Irwin?
He dresses the same.
Dresses in all those that get up the shirts, but he's like a half human, half Bigfoot.
I did not know that.
Well, guess what? Real. Beautiful. All right, so you know what? I'm gonna go with that.
She doesn't care.
My closing statements are gonna be Bigfoot tits.
Yeah, I mean it should be. You've said it like 8 times in this episode.
Because it's the deciding factor for me.
Yeah,
it really is.
Ken's 100% savage.
I'd slap a pair.
All right, folks. With that.
Yeah, all right, guys. For this episode of Other Dangerous Podcast, I'm Ken James.
And I'm Jason McKittrick.
And as always, have a spooky evening. Thank you for listening to Other Dangerous Podcasts. Have you encountered the other dangers? If so, you can email us at otherdangerouspodcast@gmail.com. And if you'd like to have a discussion about the paranormal, you can find us at Other Dangerous Podcast on Facebook and Instagram. There you can find submitted pictures, videos, and artwork from listeners. We are now streaming on YouTube, Spotify, Apple Podcasts, and anywhere else podcasts are streamed. And after listening, please don't forget to like, share, and subscribe so we can continue to bring you the other dangers.